We believe in one God, the Father the Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all that is seen and unseen. One God. You heard that theme throughout the service this morning. You heard it in that great first hymn. One Lord, one faith, one birth. One holy name the church presses, partakes one holy food, and to one hope she presses, with every grace endued. Oneness. It was an evolution for the people, the wanderers, the Arameans, to come to the awareness, to the revelation that the Holy One, blessed be his name, and say her name, is one. One God. That is to this day what the people are to hear. Shema Israel. Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. The God is one. You heard in the other reading when the dark one, the tempter, the force, and I got into that last Sunday, I don't believe it as a person, but an identity that can be taken on by the person. I said I don't believe in the devil, but I certainly acknowledge the demonic. That you take my bread. And Jesus says, we do not live by bread alone. There's a message there that you may not have got. You just thought he's hungry and wants bread. And so has offered the possibility of on his own making bread. You're not aware of someone whose right to power and domination was bred in circuses. The Emperor God. Panem et circumcision. The idea of that, keeping the population, it is from my hand that you are fed. It is by my thumb that you are governed. And if you disobey, look at the side of the road. You'll see what happens to you. You will be given free passage. You'll be given the rights of a citizen. Public baths, public spectacles. But you will worship me. And if you do not worship me, this is what you face. The tradition of Israel stood and stands against that. No, you may be a provider, but you do not give the bread. Read Deuteronomy. That's where the bread comes from. That's the bread that's always been there. That's the bread that was provided to us when we couldn't find bread in the wilderness. That is the bread of life that the writers of the fourth gospel said Jesus was. That God provides that bread. No circuses. That God cares not only for the ones in the group, the in crowd, but the alien as well. You notice that. They were to celebrate and be cared for as well. Because the people of Israel are to be mindful that once they were alien in the land, and when they did well, they were oppressed. And what was initially promised to them by Pharaoh and Joseph was taken away very quickly. Poignant words for these days, when we see the rise of Caesars all over the place. Because by their very nature, Caesars want to be God. They want their will respected. They want their will obeyed. They alone know the right way. That's not our way. That's not the way of our ancestors in the faith. and that's not the way of the Christian faith. We say to everyone, no, one God. You may have great power, but you have great responsibility. Apparently, this week there was an inspection of a ship in the United Kingdom by the King, who wore the Canadian signet, the order of being King of Canada. He was quite clearly making a statement. I'm king of this realm, and I'm king of that realm as well. And a hymn that is sung, and still sung here occasionally, may he defend our laws and never give us cause to sing with one and voice, God save the King. Defend the laws. Maintain that. He's ordained king. The idea that you are entitled to do this, but be mindful of your ancestor Charles I when a king went too far. Always be mindful of how we govern ourselves and how we understand creation. We live in a universe, not a multiverse. And the all-present nature of oneness that physics is getting into and finds fascinating and mysterious and wonder. And there are those who want to say, well, there's the Big Bang, and that's all there is, and the rest is nonsense. Which, well, then what was before the Big Bang? What was the elements that sparked? Where did they come from? Where did it all begin? Now, you can't go and say, well, therefore, that which we don't know is God. But we can certainly say there's a mystery. That we do not know all things. That we have to find our understanding of reason, our understanding of life, our path that we choose to follow. And this path is not necessarily a bad path. And those who seek to follow the path of Jesus acknowledge this story, an ongoing story, of we engage in a relationship with the Creator. That is just not unmoved forces, but there is some personal dynamic. And we struggle with that. Historically, it was given gender. Trying to describe the relationship, because it's intimate. Jesus uses the term, and many scholars think the only unique thing Jesus said, if you're getting into the quest for the historical Jesus, was Abba, calling the Creator of the universe Daddy. An intimate, personal relationship. Gender is beyond. The Creator of the universe is beyond those concepts. And Jesus himself acknowledges that when he gets asked by some of his people who are hearing him, well, so-and-so was married, the good, logical, rabbinical argument. Somebody was married and they died, and married again and they died, and married again and they died. And they got to the paradise, of who's the spouse? What did Jesus reply? Do you not remember? Not in heaven you shall not be given or taken in marriage. In other words, in heaven, you're not property. Because in that time, you took on property. No. In the way of God, there's oneness. It's beyond those concepts. It's beyond our imagining. But there is oneness to it all. And that's the faith we hold on to and can say, if you want to say, I believe in one God. You use Creator, whatever language you need to use to describe that to you. To say that, yes, I accept those precepts. In this area, I find meaning. In this, I find a purpose and a path that is noble for humanity. I find a path that leads us to a civil arrangement. A commonwealth of those believers that seek not to have their will done, but the will of the Holy One. And not the idea that they alone know. We like to have the one knower. It was interesting to be in Ottawa Friday. I imagine it's even more interesting there this morning. And I saw the camera trucks for NBC News and others. They're all awaiting the one. And I asked the concierge, do you have any spray paint? I was going to go home, but no, I didn't. I confess I didn't, but I thought of it. The world was there to say, well, who's going to be the one now to take on that other one? That's okay. That's the way of the world, isn't it? It's the way of the world. But over that and beyond that, there's something far more important. And I do believe in this ongoing times we're in, we need to hold on to that as people of faith. We serve one God, one faith. We acknowledge that there is a path. And that path is one that not only looks after the people, but also the stranger, the alien, the marginalized. That is not just for us and us alone, but that oneness means that we are all part of one humanity. We have differences and varieties, but we are one. We believe in one God, Father, Mother, Creator, Almighty,